Well, welcome back to the Hotel Orloff here in historic rural Retreat, Virginia. It's June 6th, 1944. It's really 2023. But the hotel here was here in 1944. It was here in 1857. In fact, this hotel was built, several years before the Civil War. I started an episode, and of course, I accidentally turned the thing off in the middle of the episode. At least I feel like I'm not the only one. I noticed Meyer did that too in a recent video. You know, you reach to do something with your phone, and it's like, oh, I hit the off button. I didn't even know there was an off button there. Anyway, so we're back to organizing and having lots of fun here. All right. So, we were looking at Famous Monsters books, and then I realized I have another box, several boxes of Famous Monsters. I don't know where those are, so I can't file those later issues in them. If you have old issues of Famous Monsters, and you saw the last video and saw that you have issues I don't have, and you would like to get rid of those issues, then let me know. Okay, so let's get back to Mad Magazine then. Mad Magazine, Box 1. Okay. This is issue number 84 from January of 64. Right about the time, well, the January issue is going to come out a couple months before that. But, this is right about the time the Beatles hit the United States. Beatlemania began. These white covers, sometimes you can tell the age. There's a little browning around the edges of the cover. Especially when they're copies that came from Texas, or in this case, this copy came from Arizona. Yeah, white covers older white covers are hard to find. You know, that aren't, don't have that are clean or that aren't showing evidence of age around. Okay, that's issue 74. This is 84, 78. Look at this. Cover from October of 63 with Justin Trudeau's father there. No, seriously, Justin Trudeau's his mother wouldn't hang around with Castro in Cuba. It's almost like a life-size head there, isn't it? Let's see. Can I? That might work, actually. Does that work? Maybe I should turn myself. All right. The fun we have here. Okay. 83. Oh, dang. What is going on? I checked and made sure I didn't have copies of these issues. And then, turns out I already had a copy of that. I'm positive I checked. I don't know. Here's the one I already had. I can't remember. I mean, a lot of times the staff of Mad would pose for the this fake ad. You know, really, this is where. If you think about it, wacky packages, one of the highlights of my youth, little stickers from Tops, chewing gum company in the 70s that made fun of products. The idea really came from Mad Magazine. Because look, you dispute me, look at that. There's a parody of Camel. The idea of the parodies came from here. And you know what wacky packages are, I assume. I'll show you for those of you that don't know. And they also require me standing up, which gives me exercise. So here's the wacky package parody of camels. This is the first series of wacky packages. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Well. This phone doesn't have much power. I need to plug it in. There we go. All right. Okay, so here's Mad number 61 from March of 61. No matter how you look at it, it's going to be a mad year. It's the first upside down year since 1881. And it says the last upside down year until 6009. So you could put this either way, and it's going to say 1961. That's issue 61. Okay, so that's 73. 60, okay. Cool thing about Mad is it would tell you the month and the year. This is Half Price Books doesn't do a good job of bagging and boarding books, so I'll use tape like that. 3 pieces of it. They don't want people opening up the books at the store, because they get all kinds of people at Half Price Books. One Price Books depends on where they're located. The one back where I used to live in Arlington, Texas. One time I was in there, and the comic section is right by the restroom, and I was in there, and I look up, and there's a full-grown, unclothed man coming out of the restroom. It was a guy with, Down syndrome. He didn't know. I guess he'd had an accident. He just came out of the bathroom with no clothes on, like I guess maybe he does at home when he has an accident. It wasn't really funny. It was just kind of sad. But another time, I was in Price Books, and I wasn't in there when it happened. No, there were some scary things that happened in there, but no, there was a big hole in the ceiling, and I think I heard about it later. This guy was running from the police, right? And so he ran into the Half Price Books, not a place he would normally shop, because usually criminals don't like to read unless they're in prison for a long, long time. Anyway, he goes into the restroom and crawls up through the ceiling, and he's crawling out through above the ceiling so the police won't see him, and then he falls through, and so therefore there was a big hole in the ceiling. You wonder why I moved away from the old country. It was starting to get bad, when we went to one of our favorite breakfast places, my friend Tom and I, and there was a guy with a camera that was just setting up to leave, and the guy from Channel 8, and I said, well, what's going on? Oh, this guy was walking down the street with an axe and hit the the guy that delivers the newspapers cleaved him in the head with an axe. It's like, oh, okay, it may be time to move, which is what we did. This is a historic issue. See how it turns? See these? Some of these turn so brown. Okay, so this is January '61 when people were voting, right? So this was supposed to be. Actually, I guess Mad was on sale the month. Comic books were, if a comic book is dated April '62, that means it really came out and was on stands 2 months before. So, like, I was born in April of '65. If I want to buy comic books that were actually on the stand on the day that my mother gave birth to me, I would need to get books dated June of '65 because they were dated 2 months ahead, so they'd have longer time on the on the newsstand. But Mad, I guess, was actually, because I remember when they had December issues, it was for sale during Christmas time. But anyway, January '61, that's when the election was between Nixon and Kennedy. So they printed 2 covers, and there are instructions here somewhere. Yeesh. They're making fun of the Ford Falcon. It's the foul car. Boy, this really is brown, man. This is toast, man. I swore there were instructions, but I guess maybe they just were implied. But anyway, Mad congratulates John Kennedy upon his election as president. We were with you all the way. And then you turn it this way, Mad congratulates Richard Nixon upon his election as president. We were with you all the way. And then the newsstand dealers were supposed to, the morning after the election, they were supposed to turn the stack of magazines, this way because John Kennedy won. But if Nixon had won, they would have turned them all that way. And then Mad would have scooped all the news magazines, Newsweek, Time, Life, U.S. News and World Report. They would be the one that had the first, had it first within hours of the election. Anyway, that's one of those cool things that Mad used to do. This is... oh, I can read it here, kind of. It says 58. But trust me, in real life, that's almost impossible to read. 58, okay. '59, okay, the Nixon issue is 60. Here's issue 72. I do have this one already, but it's real toasty. I got a lot of these ones from Doc's Records in Fort Worth, and they must have been stored in someone's attic. This one's not quite as toasty. Doc's Records is an amazing record store in Fort Worth, but it's also like a little antique mall. It has all these records, and then I have all these dealers that have weird mid-century cool stuff. Issue 32. They're finding that the ancient Egyptians worshipped Alfred E. Newman. 32. Okay, well, before my earliest magazine issue was 40, so this one predates that. Of course, I have here issue 16 when it was a comic book, and I have the one with Mona Lisa on the cover and another one in a box with some ECs. This one fooled me when I saw it at Half Price Books. It says number 17, but then you realize, oh, this is a this is a British edition, and it's old, but it's not that old. It's This is from man, I don't know. So here, your mad subscriptions go to Thorpe and Porter Limited, East Street, Chadby, Leicester. And you can just tell these. Just it looks like a Beatles era. Oh, he's supposed to look like Alfred E. Newman, but I see. Yeah, these are reprints of the early Mad. But when did this come out? Where's my magnifying glass, man? I never had that handy. I can't even read it. My guess is that this is from the around the Beatle era, based on those kids there. They look kind of like that era. Anyway, so yeah. Okay. This is a reprint of After Hours, which is a magazine that was how James Warren started. James Warren, Famous Monsters and all that. He really wanted to be like a Hugh Hefner type. So they're reprinting some of these early, ridiculously expensive magazines. And so I'll put that there. Fantastic. I just found these bad condition copies of kitchen sink era Spirit magazines. I always preferred the ones that came out from the Warren Company. I swear on that one of the last shows I did, I say that James Bama put out, I called James Warren James Bama, the great artist. I swear I said that. And the more I'm watching lately, I'm wondering, is it because I haven't been sleeping much lately? Or am I actually becoming just as demented as Biden? You know, I don't know. Here, the magazine that is out now, you know, there was Famous Monsters in the old days. Now there's a current magazine called Monster Bash that's actually good. And they brought Castle of Frankenstein back, and that seems to be pretty good too. I've only seen one issue, but this Monster Bash magazine is from the same people that put out Shudder. So my collection of Monster Bash, I think I only have 4 issues, but I'm a big fan, and I'm going to be getting more soon. So that's my collection of Monster Bash. But because I'm just now catching on, because my assumption is everything new is not good, and then sometimes I realize that I'm wrong, and when I'm wrong, I admit it. So until I find my other box of Famous Monsters, I'm going to have to get these issues of Famous Monsters in this box to await finding the second box. Although it could be in the closet in the other room. Could be. Could be. Hong Kong Phooey. Alright, I need to go in there anyway to get the Erie Publications box for this one. Alright. So you're having a wonderful Tuesday morning? It's Taco Tuesday. And the date when over 500,000 people were casualties of D-Day in 1944. In the media, I guarantee you won't mention it, but I'm sure you know what they'll talk about. Come on, you know what they're going to talk about. Oh, the last time I did this, I accidentally turned the show off. I better be careful. Ooh, I'm still recording. Incredible. Oh, I've got some creepies I need to... You guys want to look at Creepy Magazine? Hold on. I gotta find my Famous Monsters box. Okay. Okay, see how this the stairs go, right? You go down the stairs, then it comes out like so, right? There's another picture of Jesus I didn't show you. I've had that one for a while, though. Well, because it comes out like that in this room, oh, I left it open. You have to step up to this closet. This closet's about 3 feet up. Oh, there's Famous Monsters box 2. Very good. Smells a little funny in this closet, but here's my Erie Publications box. American Prophecy. Look at that. See, he's got the mark of the beast, ladies and gentlemen. There's some bootleg CDs. The Kinks. All right. Hold on a second. Put you guys up here. All right. Incredible. Oh. Okay. Let's move this box down. Oh, wow. Okay, the Famous Monsters too. Okay. This is whew. Well, it's a beautiful day here in Rural Retreat, Virginia. All right. Okay. Okay. Okay, all right. Things are starting to get a little bit more organized where I can find things a little better. That wasn't too bad, was it? Okay. Okay, so Famous Monsters 121. You know what I'm wondering is, do I have the Creature from the Black Lagoon issue where he's swimming underwater? Because I've seen people posting that a lot lately, and I'm wondering, do I have that issue? I can't remember. There's the all kaiju, all Japanese monsters. People in America didn't know the word kaiju, and when that came out in the mid-70s. Kaiju is the Japanese word for giant monster. Okay, so I'm trying to get to what? Oh, I have 2 copies of that. Here's 116. That's when Land That Time Forgot came out. Oh, here's the issue that I got. You know, when I was living in San Antonio for 2 years, 3rd and 4th grade, and I thought, well, they just don't carry Famous Monsters here. But we went downtown because I had to go to the dentist, and they had to knock me out to do something to my teeth. And then we went to a bookstore on the way home, and I got this copy. And I was like, Famous Monsters has been here all along. It's just you have to go downtown, which we never did, to get it. Okay, so I do have that issue. This is just a fantastic cover. And that's that was when they had a Famous Monsters convention. There was a Monster Palooza, I think, last weekend. I need to get on YouTube and see if there's some cool footage of that. Okay, so what I'm trying to put in here is 135. Let me flip to that. Oh, it was a wonderful. Then we moved to Tacoma, Washington. And the only time I saw Famous Monsters was one time in the PX. There was a copy of the Mr. Sardonicus, the cover with Mr. Sardonicus, but it was in such bad shape that I didn't buy it. I mean, it really was bad, like real bad, torn up. It was this issue here. This wasn't that copy. Like you could tell that someone had been eating like pizzas, and it was like crusty, and there was food on it. It had a tear in it. It was like that. And there was only one copy there at the PX. So anyway, then we moved to Arlington, Texas, in the summer of '76, and I go in the Century Bookstore at the Forum Mall, and look what's there. Is this issue, and they had Famous Monsters, they had the Monster Times, they had everything all there. Only problem is that issue of the Monster Times, the $6 Million Man on the cover, was the last issue of the Monster Times, but at least I knew I was in I thought, a wonderful new paradise. But, you know, looking back on it, I had some great friends there, but it wasn't really that great a place. And I spent the majority of my life there, and we're now in a much better place. 121. I mean, especially the crime got so much worse. Let's get 121 in here. 127. 23. Okay, 120 is that issue with Creature that I just showed you with that wonderful blue background. This is 121. So I do have a new edition of my Famous Monsters collection there. And how I never got this issue over the years, I don't know. 135. Godzilla and Mechagodzilla. They called him the Bionic Monster when they first released this in 1976 because $6 Million Man was real big on television. And it's like Inframan. When that came out about the same time, they called him the Man Beyond Bionics because they were trying to, cash in on that. 138. $6 Million Man was so big, I don't know why they never made a movie version of it, or the toys sold really well. But when they made it into a comic, they let Charlton do it, and Charlton wasn't usually the first choice you would go to do. But they did a pretty good job. They had Neil Adams doing covers and stuff. There's 135 goes in here. Okay, so that's done. Famous Monsters Box 2. Good. And I just discovered my first box of National Lampoon in the closet there. I'd been looking for that. So everything seems to be coming together a little bit here. Let me show you. Ouch. What is this box? There's like an alarm going on outside. It's a Tuesday. Don't they normally practice the civil defense or weather alerts? Don't they practice those on Wednesdays? At least they did back in Texas. I think maybe it's a real disaster, Well, when I there was cardboard behind one of those Mad magazines I just pulled out, that one that had Nixon and Kennedy, and look how they make. This was the cardboard behind it. It's a record album cover that they cut of a record they figure would never sell, Franz Liszt, I guess. Although the Franz Liszt is, they used some of his music in the Flash Gordon, Buster Crabbe movie serials, so I have respect for this composer. But anyway, that's what they would do at Half Price Books. This came out of there. How about that? They have no respect. Okay. Okay. All right. Here's a great magazine. I've shown it to you before, but it's always good to see it again. Gun World. This should be framed. For Vietnam, modern sniper training. June 1967. Oh, there's a little note in here. What does that say? Oh, look. Some girl gave him probably in the 1970s, told him there's a party. And is that a phone number? I don't know. Why does it have 1 at the beginning? Like it's a long distance number. It's like, there's a party at this place. Yeah, I'll put it in my copy of Gun World and I'll be there. It was right between these 2 pages. Well, you imagine. That note is not from 1967. It's from the 70s, because this smiley face was everywhere. It was omnipresent. It was ubiquitous. The smiley face right around 1970, I think. My older brother was at high school, and I guess they had a fundraiser. They were selling smiley face stickers or buttons, and my older brother would bring home a sheet of smiley face stickers. I was so happy at age 5. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. The beginning of the 1970s, that was the symbol of the 70s. Wow, we're going into this new decade, the age of Aquarius, whatever. It's going to be so wonderful. There were a lot of great things in the 70s, but overall, I don't know. The more I think back in the 70s, it was a good time. During the 70s and right after the 70s, I thought, oh, this isn't very good. And people made fun of the music of the 70s, but look at it compared to the music of today. There's a #1 song right now that's an anti-Target song. Did you hear about that? It's a rap song called Boycott Target. Okay, so horror tales. We need to get man, now I've moved in all these boxes. Now I'm starting to make this room all crowded again. Which is what I didn't want to do. Oh, let's get those creepies filed. Okay. All right. Okay. It's getting easier and easier to get up and stand up and to sit down, ladies and gentlemen. Because I'm not saying I'm in shape yet. By a long shot. Take it. So, there were the EC comics like Tales from the Crypt and all that. Then, a few years later, James Warren puts out Creepy, and then later puts out Eerie and Vampirella, and this was an attempt to bring back the days of the EC horror comics before 1955. And it got some of the same artists, like Jack Davis. This one's not in this is the first issue. It's not in perfect shape. There's some water damage there. I think some of my early Creepies. This is Creepy number 2. Looks really good shape, but you can see evidence of water damage there, where there, been some kind of flood. Not a major one, but yeah, this one you can kind of see the wobbliness of it. They're in great shape except for that, and it, if I knew someone that could press books, that could fix that. That's number 3. Oh, I don't have. Then I'm missing 4 and 5. Here's 6. Oh, here's 7. Some of these have these great Frank Frazetta covers. Wolfman fighting Dracula. How could I just can't even imagine seeing that on the newsstand and not buying it. Of course, Frank Frazetta also worked for EC in the old days. They the only thing they didn't have was the writing of Feldstein and Gaines. There was something about their writing. They were able to get these twist endings that were these O. Henry style twist endings, Rod Serling, Twilight Zone kind of twist endings in the EC books that the Warren books never seem to really have. But other than that, these were just wonderful books. Okay, so I'm trying to file in, and these creepy books. There's a company now putting out a book called Shudder that is meant to capture the feeling of these creepy magazines of the 1960s. So let me this is one of those one of those EC books, and I just saw a box that had a bunch of these like this cardboard cover color ones. And where did I just see that? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yes, it does matter. It was over here. I think so. Yes, indeed. Yes. All right, everything's getting more organized. Fantastic. So it goes in with these other ones that I've got that look like that. Okay. So put the shutters over here until I find where I have the other shutters. And before that, Shutters was called The Creeps. And that was too close to Creepy, so they had to change that. And then these Vampirus Carmillas that are supposed to look like the old Vampirella, same company, and also the same company that does Monster Bash that's made to look like the old famous monsters. So in a way, these cool people from this company called Warrant, not Warren, but Warrant, are they're doing their best to bring back our childhood. And I think that's great. In fact, I'd like to get them on here and interview them. I'd like to get the people on that do Retro A Go-Go, which is a great toy company, that is memorabilia, monster memorabilia company. I wanted to get Mort Todd on, that's brought Charlton back. And back when I lived in the old country, I'd send him messages from time to time. He says, well, I'm in the middle of moving, maybe next week. And it's like, well, maybe this time next month. And eventually I just gave up. But it would be cool to interview him, because he used to spend hours and hours just sitting around talking to Steve Ditko about movies and music. And I would love to get stories about that, because most people just dehumanize Steve Ditko and make him seem like a Vulcan, like an emotionless guy. And I'd like to get out there that he wasn't that weird. Okay, so here's Creepy 81. These are supposed to be two gremlins fighting in the sky. That's a great cover. 81. Then there's 84, which is an all sports issue. And I remember seeing this issue, and I don't remember what. Okay, I remember seeing this issue at the PX at Carswell Air Force Base, and my dad wasn't in the Air Force, but he was a retired Army colonel, and so he would go to the Air Force Base because you could, when you're retired, you can, or when you're active duty, you can go to any military base, I guess, and shop. So we went to, or see movies, whatever. And you go to the commissary, which is like this ultimate grocery store. We'd go to the Carswell Air Force Base and also to there was the Dallas Naval Air Station, like in Grand Prairie, somewhere like that. That wasn't as good as Carswell. But they would have these magazines. So I remember seeing 82, and I remember seeing 83, but I don't know why I didn't buy them. And I don't know. Maybe lack of money, but now I have those two issues that I remember seeing at Carswell Air Force Base, courtesy of Gotham City Comics in Mesa, Arizona. If you live in Arizona, that is a destination you should go to. So those creepies are now filed. Fantastic. Okay, these are Mads. This is the wrong lid, though. Where's the lid? It's got to be this lid. Yeah, Mad Magazine Box 1. All right. What else we got to show you? Look at this wrestling magazine. Some of you out there are fans of wrestling. From the Sportatorium, which is where the Dallas wrestling was based out of. This is from August 19th, 1952. Now, the Sportatorium didn't just have wrestling, they'd have rock and roll concerts. Gene Vincent, Eddie Cochran, I mean, I don't know, Elvis Presley may have played there. It had a lot of history. And so I went there I actually saw wrestling at the Sportatorium a couple of times. My friends took me. Look at this. Devil's Bowl Speedway, stock car races. Look at that illustration. Devil's Bowl Friday night at 7:30. I think the Devil's Bowl Speedway is still there. I never went to it. So it has all the current news about the 1952 wrestlers coming soon. That's just fantastic. Look at this. Obviously, he's a good guy wrestler. Romero. I got all kinds of stuff here. Oh, some issues of cartoons. Remember cartoons? I have a new issue of cartoons. I got a file in there. Yeah, it's in this box. Cartoons came back too. Not only has Castle of Frankenstein come back, which seems like an unbelievable long shot, but Cartoons is back, although it's not anywhere close to as good as the old one. But it had this great cover that I know it's in here. Thought it's in here, man. I still haven't had breakfast, man. I'm getting loopy here. I thought it was in this box. Okay, if it's not in that box, then where? of the Famous Monsters. Man. Oh, look at this. Drag cartoons from May of '66. The TV show premiered in January of '66. Here's another copy of that from 1965. Yeah, I showed you this box last summer. I remember. This is a great reproduction of these ads for the Captain Action. And these are the incredibly expensive now. They put out these girl dolls in the 60s. You got Supergirl and Krypto, you got Wonder Woman, you got Mara and Batgirl. I think they were put out in '67. They were called the Comic Heroines. But anyway, they're very expensive now. Here's all the different variations, different heroes you could turn Captain Action into. Captain Action, that's Captain Action. He kind of looked a little like George Bush, unfortunately. But it could have been worse. Remember Action Jackson from Mego? He looked like Dr. Smith of Lost in Space. I swear he did not look heroic like G.I. Joe. Anyway, this is the stuff I would have been playing with if I was just a few years older. But having been born in 1965, this stuff was coming out when I was like 2 years old. So friends of mine that are about 7 years older than me, this is the stuff they played with. But what I got were the the Mego figures. Now the Mego figures, you know, the Planet of the Apes had M16s, and they didn't have rifles that looked like the ones they had in the movie. And but look at the weapons that kids in the 60s got for Captain Action. And you get 2 grenades too. Look at the survival kit there, the vest he's got on. Yeah, this was, I guess, you can see it had holes in it. It must have been reprinted from something they gave to distributors, toy distributors or something, to show what these toys are going to look like, I guess. I don't remember where I got this. This is not real. These are, but it's a very good reproduction of all this. Yeah. See, there was Captain Action and Action Boy, and of course, Action Boy, you could dress him up as Robin, you could change him into Batman. Of course, as Action Boy, he has a knife, and look at his pet. These are the characters that you could turn Captain Action into. You could snap new heads on top of his head and dress him up as Captain America, Aquaman, Batman, the Phantom. Oh, that's Steve Canyon. That's the Green Hornet. So this is all 67. Spider-Man, and that's supposed to be Flash Gordon, right there. Although he doesn't really look like Flash Gordon. Doesn't have blonde hair. It kind of just looks like Captain Action with a, you know, he looks more like Major West from, not West. What was it? West? In Lost in Space. West, right? Right? I can't remember. I'm getting confused, man. Look at their boat. Yeah, Flash Gordon kind of has an astronaut suit. That's not Flash Gordon to me. Oh, and Sergeant Fury. I don't know if that ever came out. This may be something that they're promising will come out, but I don't think... Did they really release a Sergeant Fury? Did they really put that out? I don't think so. You can tell me down below. I think this is showing what's upcoming. Oh, you could also be the Lone Ranger. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. What do you think of that? Okay. I'm doing what I didn't want to do. I'm bringing all these boxes into the room and making things more chaotic. But I'll fix this as soon as the show's over. I promise you. I make that pledge to you. I don't want the Hotel Orloff all cluttered. It would be a disgrace to this historic building.